telling all flock members, if you want to become truly elite, for just $1 a month, you too can become an elite bad bird. Check out my Patreon account. Link is in the description.
Hello there, my flock. The Badraven is back, and we are moving on with the marathon. The marathon, of course, of it's Friday the 13th, Part 7, The New Blood. This movie came out in 1988, back in my favorite time period that I always talk about, make you sick of hearing, but the 80s are the greatest to me. So we want to delve into this edition of the Friday the 13th. And to have a little bit of tidbits about it, first off, this was basically going to be Jason versus Carrie. You know, Carrie, the 70s movie with Sissy Spacek in it. She has these kinetic powers, and she goes wacky and starts killing everybody in the gym. They were going to kind of take that character, Carrie, somehow and cross her over in here so she could fight Jason. Needless to say, they couldn't get the rights to Carrie. They couldn't set it up. They've been wanting to do it for a while, so they had to make up their own version of Carrie, which is Tina in this movie. So that was like an interesting tidbit that this was supposed to be a totally different character that Jason was fighting. Now these movies, as you can tell as they've gone along, that they've decided they do keep the continuity of how Jason ends in the last one, Part 6, into Part 7, which I like. I like the way that they continue out, and they try to keep it as continuous as possible. So they do this with this one. But first off, before we get into all this, I'd like to introduce the cast, or at least part of the cast I give any cares about introducing. I want to just say Mr. Shepard was played by John Oderon. Miss Shepard was played by Susan Blue. Tina was played by Laura Park Lincoln. I can't pronounce her name, sorry. Dr. Cruz was played by Terry Kaiser. I'd seen him in a few character parts, like I'd seen him on Three's Company back in the day, and a few other like TV shows. I'd never seen him as the lead of anything, of course. Nick was Kevin Blair. He looks familiar from the 80s, but I don't know anything else he was in. And Melissa, it just says her name's Melissa, and she is a total B word into the maximum. If anybody want to get killed in this movie, was her. Her name, her character was Melissa, and her name was Susan Jennifer Sullivan, and she plays it to a T. Of course, this is the introduction of Kane Hodder as Jason, his first time ever of being Jason, and he really puts his thumbprint on the character. You know when his Jason takes over from all the other past Jasons. Not that the other Jasons weren't good. I liked several of them. I liked Ted White in Part 4. I liked C.J. Graham in Part 6. All of them, through the time that I can think of right now, I've really enjoyed Booker in Part 3. It's great, Jason. But Kane takes over here and does several different movies in a row, and several of the other Jasons in a row. He does 7, 8, 9, and 10. So he's like Jason for 4 of them. That's what he put on my poster when he signed at Scarefest. All the different Jason movies he's been in. But anyway, he's his first part as Jason. So he adds a lot to the Jason character, I think. He adds the breathing. If you notice when he's like, Jason's going, you never saw him do that in any other ones. That was a Kane Hodder original thing he came up with. The breathing of the character, even though he's been dead for so many times. But still, you can differentiate him from other Jasons just by that. There was a lot of teens in this movie. I assume they were teens, but there was a lot of them in this one, and they were not doing a lot of sexual things in there and doing a lot of drugs. So that's your 80s premise of the Friday the 13th movies: sex, drugs, rock and roll. course, Friday the 13th is known for all those. So that was right up there on the top of my list when I was a kid. I always wanted to see stuff about that because I was a crazy teenager too. So I know it's a family channel, but that's the truth. Let's delve into this a little bit and tell you a little bit about the story. Tina, at the beginning, okay, when the introduction of the movie was the narration began where they're showing the recap of all the other Friday the 13th that came before it. That was kind of cool because I'd never seen it before, but the narrator and stuff on there and stuff like that. But after they got past the narration, which they tie in part 6 really good to this one, to show Jason under the water and Tommy putting him there. That was cool. I like that. What I didn't like is when they started the credits, and people were like, why are you worried about the credits? I know, but the music was really generic. It was just baseless, usually you have the all through it. They didn't do that. It was just like a totally different musical theme after the first little introduction of the other movies. So I don't know what was going on with that. Like I said, the recap was really cool of how he gets under the water by Tommy. So that part I think they did very well. Shows it. The movie opens up. We find out Tina's problem when she was a little girl. She always had these powers, but her family was a very, I guess you could say, dysfunctional. She's here's her mom getting slapped on. They show the calendar in the corner, which is really weird. A Friday the 13th calendar number over there, and you hear her listen to her mom and dad fight, Tina's mom and dad, and she storms out of the house, which then evidently they're staying in Camp Crystal Lake, because when she runs out to the lake, she jumps in a boat, and you see Jason underneath the water, just sitting there dead. He's showing, I guess, his body is floating around. Tina's dad, Mr. Shepherd, comes out of the house and says he's sorry for beating on her mother, that he won't do it again. And the mother comes running out, and he's standing on like a dock, like a little dock where they dock the boats for the house. And the little girl doesn't believe him. She's scared. She's going goofy or whatever, and she starts doing her all crazy and all mean toward her dad, and collapses the whole dock on her dad, which kills him. I guess it just smashes him to the bottom of the water. So he's dead. He's like with Jason in his tomb. So that's the whole premise of the starting of the movie. Then we fast forward to when she's a teenager, and for some reason her doctor, Dr. Cruz, decides to take her to the spot where she killed her father, so her and her mother can relive this great moment to help them get past all this problems. Because he's saying that all the powers she's got, the telekinetic powers, is linked to her father killing her father. So she's got all this anger built inside, and that's how she's doing this. Little do we know that he's just doing this to further his career and trying to make her like some kind of crazy woman that he has to keep her on there totally blown away all the time with being angry and stuff, so she can do the powers, because that's the only way she does the powers, if she's totally emotionally erect. And he's keeping her erect to be able to videotape her going through these where she's lighting matches and stuff and moving things around with her mind. I guess he wants to win the Nobel Prize for doctor therapy. I don't know, but that's his thinking about going back to Camp Crystal Lake, which is, we see a sign, it's just commonly known as Camp Crystal Lake, so nobody decided to change the name yet to War Screen, so I don't know what's going on there. She gets to the place, and of course there's a house right beside of it, like there always are, with a bunch of your teenagers that want to do that stuff I was talking about, sex, drugs, rock and roll. They're all living or staying there for a week or whatever, and they're going to be throwing a party for the Nick character's brother. They're up there early because Nick's coming in. They're going to surprise party for him, and they're all up there, and they're all crazy. You got the Melissa character, which is the the bad girl, and they're ready to lay out in the sun, laying out in the sun, and see her moving in, and they're like, "Oh, there goes the neighborhood." Melissa says, "Don't like her being there." Or at least she doesn't like her because she sees Nick has got some kind of feelings toward. She tells seems like he likes her, and he just met her like 2 seconds. So Nick comes over and invites Tina to the party they're going to have for the surprise party for his brother. Little do we know that his brother's coming that way, breaks down his car, of course, and he decides to hoof it with his girlfriend to the party. And of course, that's one of the first major kills of the movie. We see Dr. Cruz doing his therapy, which making Tina get all upset. He keeps bringing up about her dad dying and everything. He tries to get her to do her powers. She throws stuff at him and stuff and storms out of the house, goes down to the dock. It's nighttime now. She goes to the edge of the water and she's like, "I'm sorry, Dad. I'm sorry I did this to you. I didn't mean. I wish I could bring you back." And for some reason she gets this vision of her dad in the water, and she's like trying to bring him back from the dead or something. And Jason's down there, and he this big whirlwind of water breaks him free from the rock, and he comes up out of the water. And it's really cool the way the special effects are on him, because he's got like, you can see like his skeleton underneath the mask, which broke off. You can kind of see his teeth. You can see the bones and stuff in his head. You can see his vertebrae very good in his back. His kneecaps bones are sticking out. You see the bones in his fingers. But they did a really good job with his makeup here to show him how much he's aged and deteriorated in the water. But he gets up, she passes out because she sees him coming up the water. She don't know who he is, she don't know about Jason. She don't know the guy in a hockey mask is a bad thing. She collapses right there. And for some reason, Jason walks off and doesn't kill her, and her parents find her laying there and they don't know what's going on. She's like freaking out, said she released something out of the water and she don't know what it is, but she's scared. She's very scared. His brothers Mike and his girlfriend Jane are the ones coming to the party, and she has to tell him because he wants to stay on a tent and just wait until the morning and go to the house, and she has to tell him it's a surprise party. Well, Jason comes along with them, and he uses a lot of regular weapons in this one. I've noticed he used a spike on them. He pretty much shoved a spike through them and killed those two like nothing. The same spike he just pulled out, spiked the girlfriend up against the tree, and then goes down and finds him and spikes him against the wall or just something. He's just like uses like regular stuff. I guess he doesn't have his machete yet, so he has to use some kind of stuff. And as part of this, where she, I guess, released him, she can see when he kills people. So she's seen him when he killed another group of kids. I don't know all the kids' names. There were so many of them. I didn't want to name them all, but she would see one guy get killed with another instrument, that like a reap hook or whatever you use, stabbed through the back. She just picks up all these different things that he's done, and she tells her doctor, and he thinks she's Looney Toony, and he hides some evidence that where Jason had stabbed a stake in the back of the porch, and she sees it and shows it to him, and he hides it and acts like it wasn't there. He gets his famous machete from a hiker he's with his girlfriend in the woods. This is another way that he just like stabs his whole hand through the back of the guy while he's cutting the wood. And he finds this machete the guy used to cut the wood. So he's got the machete. He goes back to the tent where the guy's girlfriend was. And this is where they get the favorite kill by Kane Hodder. She's in the sleeping bag, and he grabs her and he slams her against a tree. And that was Kane's favorite kill, because that was, I guess, just so inventive to him. So you had that kill in there. Another thing I really liked about it being in the 80s movie like it is, the girls wore jeans that went up to their waist. Can you believe that? They walked around with blue jeans on, and they went cut down to their nether regions. They looked like they actually were too high. I mean, you get used to the way the girls wear their pants now. You look at them now, it looks like they got them pulled up under their arms. But back then, it looked good on them. And you have the cut-off jeans. I noticed that girls wearing cut-off jeans in this one, and they really brought me back to the 80s. And the guys were wearing Dockers, the gray, tacky, tan pants. I've seen a few guys wearing it. A guy was wearing a sweater or like a, you know how they do the shirt over top of the other shirt kind of thing and tie it. They were doing that look. It was like really strange. It looked really weird now that it's already almost 2020. It's back in 1980. It looks kind of strange nowadays, but I liked it that it had all those. I just remembered all them looks from the 80s. It was really cool. The girls had the big hair. Then when they got ready to go to the big party, they teased their hair up really big. And you got your normal teen problems. You got Melissa wanting Nick and Nick wanting Tina, and then you got the other couples there. They're doing their thing. You got a couple in a van doing their thing. You got a couple, well, 2 or 3 couples inside doing that, and you got one girl that's slightly overweight wanting one guy, and the other girl wanting the same guy, and he's the pothead. You got to have a pothead in an 80s movie, especially Friday the 13th. And they're like fighting over him in their own ways. You got all that drama going on with all this, basic Friday the 13th stuff. I did see a really cool scene in this one. I always like the skinny dipping parts. Anyway, sorry, Family Channel people. And this girl jumps in the water, and she is fine as wine, as I could say. She's got plenty of attributes that I equate with beauty. So take it that way. Attributes, you know what I'm saying? But she goes in the water, and boyfriend's getting ready to jump in the water. Of course, Jason just comes along with, like, I don't know if it's a steak or the same steak he's been using, and just like slice the guy up the front. And this one doesn't really show close up of what he does, because I guess the MPA was really bad on him at the time. So he like slashes him, and she just went underwater, and she comes back up and she sees him dead on the thing, and she sees Jason. He comes in the water, and it's kind of like Jaws. The first part of Jaws where the girl's like swimming around there, and the shark comes up. Well, he like grabs her foot just like in Jaws, but when he pulls her straight down. So you get that Jaws look, of her kicking her legs and stuff, and him not knowing where he's at. It's kind of neat. Kind of gives me that Jaws feel. I thought that was really well done by the director. He done really good on this one. While all these killings and stuff are going on, Tina hears the doctor talking about committing her to the mother, because the mother finds out that the doctor's in it for himself. Tina runs off, crashes her car, of course. Doesn't help anything out that way. Makes another way not to get out of there. And I noticed, like I said, that he does a lot of killing with different. He kills, the different tools he uses to kill with are, he uses like a weed eater with a blade in it to kill the doctor at the very end, and he uses a sickle on a guy, and he uses the stake, of course, and he uses the birthday horn. Like they blow. Stabbed it in one girl's eye. He's very creative. He uses whatever utensils he can to kill people. He knows. He eventually gets knives and stuff like that, but he's an all-around good guy finding things to kill people with. That's Jason. He's when his brain's fried from death. All right, now I just want to get into the Tina versus Jason parts. These are the cool parts. Where she finally gets to face Jason one-on-one. So I call it Tina versus Jason. You get the showdown in the street, kind of like an old Western. You see, she comes around the corner, and she sees him there standing, and then like the close-up, it does boom, 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 right up on his face, and he's like ready for her, and she's ready for him. And she like gets all these roots and stuff come out of the ground, and she grabs his legs and pulls him into the mud face first. Then she sees the electrical line up there and jerks the electrical line, sticks it in the water, and it electrocutes him. And it's cool, like Godzilla moment, Jason like fighting electricity and everything like that, and running across his body. Really cool. I thought that was really cool the way they did that. And he falls down in the mud. Of course, he's not dead. I brought him to life in part 6. He's gonna kill him with electricity. But he's still like, oh my gosh, somebody's fighting me, you know what I'm saying? That's why I felt like he was saying. So he jumps back up. She takes off running. She goes in the house, and he jerks the electricity out of the wall. He'd already tore the electricity out. She's standing in the kitchen and shows the window, and here comes Jason, all 200 and some pounds, a man Kane Hodder busting through the window, both feet, boom, lands on his feet in there. Really cool scene. He went through windows before, but I'd never seen him jump like that through a window. Kudos for that artistic moment. I really like that. He busts through the window on her. She's throwing couches at him and tables, and she even throws a plant at him that's got a head in it from one of the people he's killed, and hits him in the head. Boom. And he's like, that really makes him mad. You're throwing plants at the man. She runs out the front thing, and he comes out on the porch after she goes out. She drops the porch on him. Drops the whole porch on Jason's poor head. She takes off back to the other house that's got electricity, where she was staying in. She gets over there, and she's telling Nick and Melissa that she's killed him because he's killed her mother. That showed earlier in the thing, he had stabbed her mother when the doctor had her. She was all upset because of that, and she said she killed Jason by dropping the roof on him. Melissa thinks they're all full of crap. She said, yins are all crazy and everything. I'm going back to bed. You want to join me, Nick? And Nick's like, don't go out there. You're going to get killed. The best part of the movie, she opens up and there's Jason standing there. And she's like, what? So she's met her match. She's finally got an axe. He punches it through her skull and grabs her and throws her over the 1980 console television, you know what I'm saying, over the back of it. So Melissa's dead. Yay, way to go, Jason done the right thing there. He comes in the door and he chases Nick and Tina up the top of the steps. They can't get anywhere. He comes up the steps. It shows him coming up the steps, and she sees this big globe of light fixture up there, and she just like makes it fall off and smash into his head. He falls completely back on the steps. His weight crashes through the steps. He falls down in the basement. Nick and her go down the steps and start to go up the door, and here comes Jason through the steps. Well, he didn't go all the way to the basement. He went down to the bottom of the steps, and he busts through the sidewall there where they had like the storage, I guess. And he grabs Nick and throws him over the corner and starts stepping on Nick's back. Of course, that makes her go crazy. And when you want to see her go crazy, she does this. Well, anyway. That's Tina's crazy look. Anyway, she starts doing that old crazy style. And she puts her head into it like she's, you better leave him alone. I'm gonna kill him. Anyway, she's like doing that to Jason with his back toward her, and he's smashing Nick's back into oblivion, and his head starts oozing out where she's stretching. She's taking the straps of the mask and she's just like squeezing them down on his head. All of his green gooey stuff in his brain is all oozing out the side of the straps. He turned around to face her, and you see the mask crack right down the middle, pop off his face, and there he is, Mr. Ugly himself, Jason Voorhees, with his one eye and his teeth all snarled up and his face all burnt and slashed through part 4, axe through part this, gunshot through his head, everything's showing, and he's really mad now. You took his mask off. He's ready for war. When his mask pops off, she gets the electrical wire out of the electricity thing and wraps it around his throat and hangs him up in the air, and he's like hanging there by his neck being hung, and she just busts the floor open and drops him down in the basement. That's when he goes down in the basement, and he's like laying there all sprawled out, and she walks over to Nick to see if he's okay, and while she does that, of course, Jason jumps up there, grabs her, pulls her down into the basement with him. When she gets down there, he's like, trying to fight or whatever, and she gets away from him, and she starts throwing nails at him. She starts throwing nails and like sticking into his head, and he's like pulling nails out of his, really nails. Is that what you can come up with? Then she sees a gas can, and she starts spraying the gas out of the gas can all over him, all over his body, and he's getting like a gasoline bath, and he turns back around. She opens up the furnace, which got a fire in it, flame, and she shoots the flame at him. He catches on fire, which is a really cool scene. And he's like, in slow motion, like gasoline all over his body, and he's like just swirling around, kind of like the Beast in Krull, you know, when he gets all on fire, he's just like whirling like that. Nick comes down, grabs her, and they go back out of the house getting it. Jason falls down on the floor. They run out of the house, and Nick's like, "Oh, hit the deck on the pier or whatever, the dock there where Dad died." And when they fall, for some reason the house explodes. I don't know if the natural gas, you know, they're supposed to have natural gas in there on, or the stove was on, or something. But for some reason it ignites it and blows the whole place to smithereens. There's nothing left, not a board left in this place. It's all ashes. And he's like, Nick is hugging Tina. It's like, "Oh, we made it, we made it, we made it." And so did Jason, with a little bit of Christmas to him. But he throws Nick over out of the way. Still in pretty good shape even though he got blowed up. Of course, you know, you're talking about Jason here, man. Jason is the man. So he's coming at Tina, and something weird happened. She's like, "Daddy, help me," or something, you know. I don't know. And her dad comes up out of the water where she killed him way back when she was a little girl. I don't know if her powers are doing this, how he comes, what brings him back to life, but he jumps up through the dock. He's got some smudges on him, like I guess he's been dead for like 10 years, I guess. I don't know how many years. And he's just got little smudges on his face. The guy's been dead. But anyway, I digress. But he grabs Jason by the feet and just like wraps that chain around Jason's neck and yanks him back in. And she's like, "Oh, Daddy." And then passes out. The girl passes out a lot. This girl passes out. I mean, a lot of traumatic stuff happened to this girl. She passing out like crazy. Well, of course, you know, the next day the sun lights out. She's on a gurney. I've seen this a lot in Friday the 13th. She's on a gurney. She gets, and she's like, "Oh, Nick. Oh, he's already in the ambulance." Well, at least we know Nick survived, you know, good. They throw her in the ambulance and there's Nick. And he's like, "Oh, Jason, what up, Jason?" "Oh, he's gone. And it actually goes off. We don't see Jason in the lake. We don't see Jason floating down there. We don't see his half-eaten corpse anywhere. We don't see the dad floating around out there. You don't see anything else. This black screen cast it. The credits. I was disappointed. Why didn't we have to show that the show will go on, people? The sequel is out there. Nothing. Just forget it. Black screen credits. You're supposed to see something that Jason, his eye opening up or something. What happened? Did they have not enough budget to shoot that scene? Cut it out? I don't know. What did they do? Did they cut that part out? I don't know. But anyway, that is my review of Part 7. The New Blood. What do you think about this movie? It really started getting strange after Part 6. It was kind of turning into a comedy in Part 6. And then it kind of got into, I don't know, they tried to go back to the original killing style, I guess. And they wanted to fight. He was killing some people a lot, and they wanted to give him some kind of fighting back. So that's why they put the Carrie type character Tina in there. I understand. The movie was very, I liked Kane in it, and I liked some of the scenes in it, like I said. Before I let you get away, I want to tell you my favorite line in the movie, and it was by a character named Eddie. And he says to Melissa, that was leading him on and everything, thinking he had a chance to get Nick jealous. She said, "Where are you going?" He said, "I'm going to take a cold shower. I got a date with a soap on a rope." That's a classic line. That is awesome. Eddie nailed it right there. A date with a soap on the rope. Been there. Like that part. Well, anyway, let me say, leave your comments. Tell me, where were you at in 1988? Did you watch this movie? I did. I watched all the Friday the 13th after a certain point when I was able to drive and take myself, and able to go to Radar Movies. But tell me what you think. Did you like this installment? Did you think it's starting to really jump the shark after the Part 6? And this one was really over the top. Did you like the Carrie way they included the Carrie type character? Which at the time I didn't know they were using Carrie. I just thought it was somebody with telekinesis. I didn't know. Just send me a line there and tell me. And remember, Part 8 is coming up at the last of the Paramount movies. The last of the Friday the 13th Paramount will be my next marathon part. That'll be Part 8. Jason Takes Manhattan. You got to be here for that one. And I just want to say, check out our Patreon account and become an elite bad bird. I've been waiting for that one elite bad bird to come up here. I know I'm going to get it pretty soon. I just got a feeling that we're going to get us an elite bad bird. If you want to be elite bad bird, just go in there to my Patreon account. The link is in the description, and just donate $1 a month. Just $1 a month. $12 a year. That's all it is. $1 a month. And you can become elite bad birds. And I'll put your name at the end of my videos, and I will send you a band that says, join the flock. Watch Badraven on YouTube. And I'll send it to you free of charge. So please do that for the Badraven. I really appreciate it. And I always remember that the Badraven is your friend, and we love it when you come and watch our videos. So I want to say, I'm going to let you go, and we'll talk at you later. And goodbye.